Hey there. I go back and forth on Europe's Protestant Reformation, which kicked off 500 years ago this year. I think I've come back around, and I now think that the Reformation really did kick off the modern world. Let me explain. The Reformation is part of the standard story of the progress of Western civilization. Typically, it's whitewashed as a courageous stand for individual conscience and freedom. Our modern Enlightenment ideas of individual rights are supposed to have grown out of the stand that people like Martin Luther and John Calvin took against the Catholic Church. In the early 1900s, German sociologist Max Weber argued that there was something called the Protestant Work ethic that explained capitalism and the natural dominance of Germanic and Anglo-Saxon countries. The more that I've looked into it, the more convinced I've become that this is largely bullshit. The true ideological successors of the Reformation aren't Bill Gates and Barack Obama. They are Osama bin Laden and Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Yes, it's great that the power of the Catholic Church was broken, but it was broken because these guys believed that religion should be more extreme and should dominate life more than it already did. The Reformation was not really about freedom. The followers of John Calvin in particular thought that everybody should live in a theocracy. Some Protestants were just as happy to burn heretics as the Catholics were, and some were even more bloodthirsty. But the Reformation jihadis did bring us the modern world. It was an unintended consequence, but it may have been one of the most important things that has ever happened. The Reformers wanted everybody to read the Bible, which meant that everybody had to learn to read. In 16th century Europe, this was a pretty revolutionary concept. Back then, it was only a subset of priests, merchants, and government officials who were literate. 80 to 90% of everybody else worked the land, and there was no reason for them to learn to read. From the 1500s on, certain rulers, most notably in Scandinavia, started to make broader literacy a priority. I've thought a lot about development lately, and I've become convinced that widespread literacy is the most important thing that can happen to a country. I love studying history, and I've spent years looking into ancient Rome and medieval Europe, but I'm beginning to suspect that none of the history before widespread literacy really matters. It's only when a person can read and write that they become a meaningful actor in history. Knowledge really is power. The story of the world before 1700 or so in every country may look different, but it's basically the same thing. Most of us human beings are agricultural laborers. There's a small elite with all the power, and they squabble. They fight over lands and people, and the suffering is often terrible. New elites come out of the steppes or across the seas, replace the old elites, increase the suffering for a bit, introduce some new ideas, but never really improve things all that much. We like to romanticize these old kings, conquerors, and caliphs, but they are all really just gangsters. What changed all this was literacy. Mass literacy gave us the world we know. Mass literacy eventually led to mass politics and makes power for a broader slice of people possible. Perhaps unwittingly, the religious fanatics of the Protestant Reformation set all this in motion. Places like Sweden and Switzerland are widely admired for their high levels of development. This development leadership started because their rulers long ago wanted everybody to read the Bible. Weirdly, this unintended consequence made the modern world. More on this soon. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and there are only 17 days left to save this channel. I have been amazed and humbled by the outpouring of support that we've gotten so far, but there's still another $43 to go before this channel can truly be considered viable. Please click on the Patreon link around here somewhere to chip into this crowdfunding effort. Thanks.